This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Feeding for the taste of the blood.
Hey guys, it is the Indy Mayhem Show where we talk about and with people in and around independent professional wrestling here in Pittsburgh, PA at Sorgatron Media Studios. And we got a fun one tonight, and I got a little bit of backup to give me a hand here. But first, please check out everything at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. You subscribe to this show and many others in the Wrestling Mayhem Show network, and also check out IndyWrestling.us, where a lot of the indie wrestling, including this show, lives as well. He is up at good times at WrestlingMayhemShow.com or 412-206 WMS0. Let us know any thoughts you have on people that we've had, people you want us to have in the future, or if we have anything announced on our Facebook page that we'll be interviewing. Please feel free to drop any questions on any of those avenues as well. And of course, subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and video versions on YouTube and the Facebook page. And I know, Alex, Apple Podcasts, I was having that mistake all night long during a podcast session, and I kept stopping myself, and the 15 people in there were laughing along with me, saying, that's okay. Yeah, you heard the voice over there. Alex Kahrs is joining us from Occupy Pro Wrestling. That's not where the screams are coming from, by the way. We'll get to that in just a moment. But Alex Kahrs is with us of Occupy Pro Wrestling and the great Chikara in 15 podcast. How you doing tonight, Alex?
I'm doing great. I am super excited for our interview tonight, and I'm really glad that you invited me along for this ride.
Well, I gotta bring the expert in when I have somebody from, especially, yes, we hear more screams. Oh, I love this. The atmosphere tonight, guys. It's that kind of podcast. But you can hear the screams because live from the Wrestle Factory out there, Chikara Central joining us. It is Pig Daddy Cool, the Boar of Moldova, joining us here on the line tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Michael, Alex, thank you for having me. Thanks for putting up with the screams in the meantime. Got to break all the new ones in.
That's right, exactly, as you do. By the way, I love the T-shirt there. If you guys are in audio, that's a sweet Pokemon-style Chikara shirt going on over there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's not a Boar shirt, but still supporting the cause. I believe it's an old King of Trios shirt as well, which we've got King of Trios coming up this year.
Nice.
Over the course of Labor Day weekend.
Excellent. Always a good time. I've been to 2 of those, and definitely recommend if you have the chance. It's definitely an experience to see one of those. So Boar, if I can call you Boar or Mr. Boar,
yes,
or
please.
Mr. of Moldova. We've been trying to figure that out here before the show. Or Pig Daddy Cool.
That's fine too.
We like to do a little bit of an icebreaker here on the show for people who maybe haven't seen you don't know what you're about yet. So what is your first memory of pro wrestling?
Ooh, my first memory of pro wrestling, that would have to be probably SummerSlam 92. I was just a young boar. But yeah, SummerSlam 92, the event itself, the spectacle that it was. Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler growing up. So SummerSlam 92, the whole event, going back and watching it, it's still one of those shows I can watch over and over again. So that's got to be my first memory.
I like that better than Finn Balor with his SummerSlam 95. I don't know. Maybe that's just Lego building SummerSlamming. Maybe you were more into the wrestling than he was growing up, which is kind of astounding, as good as he is these days, But no, absolutely. So you were pretty much a fan from a young boar, kind of straight through, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think even Mama Boar has pictures of me. Before I can even walk, I'm just glued in front of a giant TV watching wrestling. So even before I could walk or talk, I was just instantly glued to professional wrestling.
That's awesome. So was it a thought in your head that you want to get in the ring and do this as a young child, or is that or did that kind of come a little bit later?
Absolutely. It was always what I wanted to do. And it's crazy when you hear people say, follow your dreams can come true. You can do anything. a lot of times I think people just take that as filler, as something good to hear. But that was something I truly believed. It was something I always wanted to do. And eventually, as life went on, I tried convincing myself to complete other things first. Finish college education, as a lot of wrestlers would even say you should have the college education in case of injury or something catastrophic happens. But it was just impossible for me to concentrate without having wrestling, without being a wrestler, without pursuing that. So everything else is on the back burner.
That's great. That's great. So were you first introduced to the Chikara training, or was there another path into where you're at?
No, Chikara was where I first started. There was a lot of options, and still are a lot of good schools out there. And I was just trying to weigh the pros and cons before I decided to move and take the big jump. And I just looked at the Wrestle Factory, their track record of turning out great talent, and in turn, that talent being part of the show, being part of the event, and making up the company itself. A lot of places you won't really see that. You might see one or two stand out a few years at a time, but Chikara, they consistently give opportunities to those who earn it. And I knew if I could just get my foot in the door, I'd be able to earn those opportunities. And it turned out to be the right fit.
Absolutely. Was there anything outside of the obviously the work ethic and the quality of talent? Was Chikara as a promotion? Obviously, it's something different than you see usually, especially on the independents, or even what you kind of grew up with probably in WWE.
Sure, absolutely. It definitely has its niche audience, and it's totally comfortable. It has 100% confidence in who and what Chikara is. It's not out there trying to pretend to be something it's not, or to gain some kind of new fan base. If you dig it, you'll gravitate towards it. We attract people of all different races, religions, backgrounds. It's really welcoming for everybody, and everybody's welcome, all ages, all shapes, all sizes. So yeah, that welcoming atmosphere as well really, really drew my attention to Chikara.
Absolutely. And we know, Chikara, really big on characters. It's one of the, I think, one of the most larger than life promotions out there on this level of independent professional wrestling, and does fantastic. How did the Boar as we know it kind of come to pass? Was this always was Pig Daddy Cool always on the docket for you, or was there's other iterations of you before we got to what we see here today?
No, I guess I always had larger characteristics. I was always the tallest kid, even though I wasn't the largest by build. I was a tall, skinny kid, but I always had the height going for me. And I guess just the way I moved in the ring, I still am not the most graceful athlete. There's a lot more I can do that I don't showcase in the ring because it's not needed. And, I choose to accentuate other positives. But, you're not going to see a 5-star Matt Classic from me. That's just not the type of person or character I am. And that's what makes wrestling beautiful, because different people appreciate different things.
Yeah.
So if you happen to like, a Dave Bautista, Hulk Hogan kind of style, then I'm right up your alley.
That's awesome.
But Pig Daddy Cool, it's something I've grown into. And of course, there's different wrestlers at different times in my life. I kind of see myself being, I see myself being a Bret Hart or a Dolph Ziggler or a Cesaro. And just through different times, you kind of take a little bit from everybody who you've grown up appreciating, and you try to steal from them because, they're truly geniuses and they create so well. And you try to blend that all together into this beautiful puzzle that makes up you.
That's awesome. Like I said, we were talking a little bit about the last time I got to experience some Chikara in person a couple years ago for King of Trios. And speaking of people that you probably grew up on, you had an encounter with D-Generation X at that King of Trios. And of course, this was my first introduction to you. It was kind of fun. Again, 2 days of getting to know, Pig Daddy Cool. And I'm sorry, don't recall the name of your partner, but he resembled a certain X-Pac a little bit.
He did. He did. That was Prakash Sabar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Tell me a little bit about that experience, because you guys got to confront the actual X-Pac and, of course, Billy Gunn at the end of that weekend.
Absolutely. That was something that was kind of a lifetime building up. A little known fact, a small young Boar made the trip from Moldova over to Virginia as a child. And I was actually at the Monday Night Raw where DX invaded Nitro just about 35 minutes down the road. So even as a young boar, I got to see D-Generation X on the tank, moving towards the Norfolk Scope, and I thought that is amazing. I can't believe they're going to do that. I got to see some of the promo and everything from the parking lot. So that was a long time coming. And so Billy Gunn, X-Pac, absolute tremendous talents, all-time greats in the professional wrestling business, and to be able to have a run-in with them, I kind of thought I was grown. Maybe if you've ever challenged your dad or any other figure in your life when you're 13, 14, 15 years old, you kind of think you're grown, and then you find out you're not yet. So that's what that experience was like for me. Billy Gunn is a massive human being, unlike anybody else I've ever met. And a lot of people think X-Pac is also a small person, but he is not small by any standards. He's also a large man. Mm-hmm. So you get in there with the big boys, people who've done some things in this business, and you'll pay the price, and you'll quickly adjust or go down quickly in defeat, as we did.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a couple opportunities to work alongside Billy Gunn for some shows. Oh, some more screaming in the background.
Someone's getting initiated. Someone's breaking in.
You know, someone's getting stretched.
Usually this would be a little weird, but this is just perfect for talking with somebody from Chikara, I think. But there he goes. Alex, of course, Alex, I know you got your finger on the pulse at Chikara a bit more with what you're doing over there at Occupy Pro Wrestling. I want to make sure you get a couple questions in on this too.
All right, sure. It's time to get into the nitty gritty. Here we go.
All right.
No, I'm just so a lot of us Chikara fans know you kind of started out as part of the Block Party.
Yes.
With the likes of the Polar Baron, Sicklemeyer, and Brown Morning of Belarus, and Mr. Azerbaijan, along with Prakash Sabar. So I was just kind of curious, first of all, like what was it like working with those guys at the beginning?
It was really cool. Of course, Chikara is another company that's really known for their stables and their groups a lot of times. So that was really cool to break into, especially just starting out. It's really hard to go out there 100% on your own. So to be able to ease my way in there and to be the big bad boar, come in, do a lot of damage, hit a lot of power moves, and then tag out, save a lot of energy, limit some of my exposure in the ring before I was able to make some mistakes, and also be able to learn on the fly. Just tremendous opportunity, and I'm glad for that experience, both in a stable and being part of a tag team as well.
Nice. And just out of curiosity, have you heard from or spoken to Sicklemeyer or Brown Morning since they've kind of disappeared? Or
I have not, with internet being what it is and being so patchy sometimes. Some countries it's great, some countries it's not so good. Just have not been able to keep up with those guys. So if they happen to come back around, be happy to see them. Maybe have a family barbecue or something.
For sure. Cool. I asked about them specifically because I know Prakash had tweeted out that he'd finally been allowed back into Pakistan. So his time as a wrestler, at least for now, is over because he's back home in Pakistan. So best of luck to him with everything. But just kind of curious about that. But so I did want to ask, because at some point we went from having the proletariat Boar of Moldova to the rumblings of Pig Daddy Cool, and I was kind of curious about how that kind of transitioned about, and like what was that like for you?
It's just a continual evolution. Excuse me. You don't ever want to become stale or stagnant. You always want to be moving forward and coming up with something new and fresh. So proletariat still fits me very well. I still put my nose down to the ground and do a lot of hard work and put in a lot of sweat and just try my best to succeed. But along with that comes some progress, and with that progress, put on some size, put on some weight, put on some extra muscle I didn't know I'd be able to have. And with that, Pig Daddy Cool, it's more than just appearance. It's also an attitude. It's something I bring to the ring. I'm one of the biggest guys in Chikara, and so I'm Pig Daddy Cool. When I step through the curtain, there's no one else like it. 6.5 feet of 265-pound boar coming at you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that kind of intimidating frame of yours is why Juan Francisco was so interested in having you and the other guys from the Block Party join him in the United Nations.
Absolutely.
I will say that was a really cool time. I was kind of curious what it was like for you.
That was one of my favorite times in my career so far, even though it's not that long. That time I was able to spend with Juan Francisco, and of course the rest of the Block Party. But I guess I'll put over Juan Francisco de Coronado. He's the grand champion of Chikara. He's the grand champion for a reason. He's a tremendous trainer at the Wrestle Factory. He has a really great mind for what goes on inside and outside of the ring. And to be able to sit with him, and at the time he was one of my best friends, and to be able to travel the road all across North America and at the East Coast, up and down the road with him, getting food, going to the gym, putting miles on the car, and emptying out the bank account, make it to town was, something I may never experience again with a friend that close. But the experience I gained, tremendous, and it did make me who I am now.
Very nice, very nice. And then, of course, after Juan decided that he had had enough of you guys, unfortunately, broke up the United Nations. I believe this was shortly before King of Trios last year, or
it was right at King of Trios 2016.
Right, that's right.
Yes.
Which is actually, if I remember correctly, the event from which that shirt's kind of based around, because they had the Pokemon theme that year.
Yes.
So yeah, sometime after that, you kind of pursued more of a solo career. We didn't really see you around a whole lot, but when we did see you, it was always a good time.
Yeah, Juan Francisco did decide to break up the United Nations, which was it was a tough transition, because I saw us helping him. Very similar to maybe you think Evolution or a Horseman. He was the clear leader. There was no debate about that. There was never any arguments about that. We wanted to help him succeed. I knew that wasn't a point in my career where I was ready for the Grand Championship. It was all about getting him to where he needed to go. And he decided the best thing for him was to go solo. And it's hard to argue with that, because shortly after that, he became the Grand Champion of Chikara. And it took me a while to find my feet. I wasn't exactly ready to be a solo act, to be a singles competitor. Had pretty good success in a tag team. I felt very comfortable being in a tag team. But it was time to move on. And either you hit the ground running or you get left behind. And I almost got left behind. And it was a humbling time. I decided I need to put in a lot more work at the Wrestle Factory, a lot more work in the gym. And it's paying off right now.
It certainly has. And that kind of is catching us up a little bit with more recent events. We've seen you start to team up with Oleg the Usurper as the Beast Warriors.
Yes.
And that's been a lot of fun. Kind of curious how, just for those of us that maybe haven't quite caught all the stuff going on, how did that come about?
We had similar enemies. We were both left behind by factions and stables, if you want to use that term. We were both abandoned, me with the United Nations, and Sidney Bacabella's Devastation Corporation kind of left him behind, and we were both left to figure it out on our own. And we both had some success, but we kept hitting this glass ceiling that we could never break through. I took Juan Francisco de Coronado to the limit in Connecticut for the Grand Championship of Chikara, and I was seconds away from obtaining that goal, and as was he on two different occasions. And just whether it's cheating, it's outside interference, it's other people, we decided to join forces and combine and really set our sights on the Campeonatos de Parejas here in Chikara. Neither one of us have been champions yet in our career, so it's a big goal that we have to join together.
Awesome. How is the? I was seeing a tweet here going through about you might have had a collarbone injury a few days ago. How's that healing up for you?
Oh, it's healing up okay. Of course, there's always injuries that happen, whether inside the ring or outside the ring. I was just doing a power clean, and I didn't know my own strength, and so I lifted the bar up a little too high. When I got underneath it, it landed on my collarbone, and it's hard to tell now, but it was a pretty good cut. It just sliced right open on the skin, so it's healing up okay.
I feel like this is a theme with Chikara, so I gotta see if you got an answer to this. Last few times that I've been around for Chikara events, you guys are pretty big into video games, it seems. No Mercy tournament at the last King of Trios I was at, as well as seeing Chuck Taylor and the crew go to town on what I think it was virtual pro wrestling. Are you in N64 wrestling, and how are you with the game?
I'm pretty good at the N64 wrestling. I'm not as good as some people out there. It's been a while, and I don't stay sharp on my skills. I might pick up the old joysticks, once a year or so for No Mercy, or especially Revenge was a big favorite of mine. But I can handle my own. I can do okay.
Good. I think that I think I still have a standing feud with the Thunder Frog from when he beat me in the tournament. But
he is pretty good.
I'm going to come back for that some year here at the Trios tournaments, for sure. So awesome.
Get that win back.
Get that win back. Seriously. I mean, I think, geez, I think people were picking Earl Hebner or something. It was just like, what's going on at this thing? Also, impressed that everybody was unlocked in No Mercy. I don't have near the unlocks that they have because I grabbed a late copy of it. But awesome. So this far into like where things are going, Chikara. Of course, Chikara's you got King of Trios coming up. Were you a part of? Well, there's something that happened actually. Speaking of Trios, last year it went to England. Were you a part of that, and how was that experience?
I was not part of that. Again, I was during that time in my career where.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I wasn't around a ton, so it was part of that humbling process. Not being able to make the trip, and my services not being required. But being able to see other people go out there and perform and keep up with what was going on, and all the fun that the crowd had was really cool to see.
That's awesome. So, we talked about a little bit of the past, but what are you watching these days that's kind of inspiring to you? Like, is there other people in Chikara, anybody else, any other specific wrestlers or any product out there that you kind of has your attention these days?
Sure. I love keeping up with the current mainstream WWE product. Some wrestlers are afraid to say that, or maybe the product's not for them, but I always try to enjoy wrestling, specifically WWE, as it is, and whatever time frame it is. There's always something to find from everything. But WWE is what I grew up on, and it's still what I watch a lot. I'm still a fan in many regards. I still watch Monday Night Raw when I come home from the gym. I DVR it. Same with Tuesday Night SmackDown and all the pay-per-views. And I'm not going to be one to complain about 6 hours of free WrestleMania. You can give me 12 hours straight, and I'll be there for every minute of it. But current product I love keeping up on. Also, what I grew up on. Early 90s, late 80s. WWE is something I also love. WCW as well. My tastes are pretty much mainstream throughout the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s.
That's awesome. That's good to see. Also, if you're free on Monday nights, I'd love to have you on the wrap up because I need somebody that's pro Raw with me.
Oh, that'd be great.
I've been trying to push this idea of like, listen, I watched New Japan last night. I watched a 45-minute insane match between David Starr and Gresham we filmed on a Saturday night. I was like, I'm going to sit back on Raw, and I'm going to enjoy Raw for being Raw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to at this point.
Yes. Something a lot of people don't take into consideration is you can go to an amazing independent show or independent wrestling event, and they can go all out and leave everything out there as they should. But on the flip side of that, a lot of times we don't have to turn around and we don't have to have a show on the next night, or we don't have a town to make or a flight to catch, and get to the next town. And, over the course of a weekend, maybe, but it's not something we're making 300 days a year, at least not most of us. Of course, there's that, top 10% of guys who are out there and, they're in high demand and making every town and wrestling Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's tremendous. And that's a goal that a lot of people have and should have. But for most of us, we don't have to worry about what comes next. We get a week or two in between. So it's just having a different point of view to enjoying the mainstream stuff.
Going along with that, Justin Donahue's out there in the chat room, and he asked, well, first of all, he says, let's shave the boar, smiley face. No. Don't know about that. But Justin's asking, what is Boar's favorite style of wrestling to work?
My favorite style? I heard somebody once say American strong style. I'm not exactly sure what that is, especially since I'm from Moldova. But I love just getting in the ring, power slams, power moves, big moves, contact. See the sweat flying. Make it all count. That's my style.
How would you define Moldovan strong style?
Just getting right after it. There's no feeling out process. I don't believe in the feeling out process. My feeling out process is knowing how much weight you've got when I've got you up in the air for a power slam or some other kind of spine buster or something like that. Not into the chain wrestling, the feeling out, rolling around, circling up. That's just not something you're going to see me do.
That's awesome. What is the best and worst thing about indie wrestling for you so far in your career?
The best thing has got to be able to make towns and make memories with your buddies. It's very hard to make friends and to keep friends inside of wrestling, but to have that bond that we all connect over, and to go out there and to inflict some serious damage on each other, and then to have to see somebody later that night or over at the merchandise table and let bygones be bygones for the time being. That's probably my favorite thing, and also the closeness of the intimacy of the fans, being able to shake everybody's hand that comes to a show, or being able to fist bump everybody on their way out of a Chikara event. It's one of the true highlights for me. Just that personal touch that we can give that you may not be able to experience at a larger show.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Alex, Alex tells me he wants to bring back. This is a question we used to ask on the show ages ago, but he wants to bring it back for the board tonight. Go ahead, Alex.
Boar of Moldova, I have a very important question for you.
All right.
If you were any kind of vegetable, what kind of vegetable would you be and why?
Do potatoes count as vegetables? I have this debate all the time.
Yes.
Potatoes are vegetables.
I can allow it, yes.
For this, yes.
Okay.
The starch, but yeah.
I'm a big old potato. Big old potato. What you see is what you get. And who doesn't like potatoes? There's some people out there, potatoes aren't for them, but the large majority, everybody loves potatoes.
That's a good answer.
I can appreciate that.
That's a good answer. I like that. That makes me almost want to bring that question back.
You should do it.
Awesome. Boar of Moldova, where can people find more of you online or in general?
If you go to chikarapro.com, you can see me there. I have a sweet profile. It has every event I've been on in the history of Chikara. There's a really cool layout. It has YouTube links to matches and interviews. Also, if you stop by the Chikara Special, they have some tremendous stuff out there as well. I mean, some great recaps and match reviews and results as well. And Chikaratopia is a big place where you can find myself and a lot of the stars of Chikara. A lot of our events are streamed there live or on demand as well. You can go to chikaratopia.com for all of that. And oftentimes we have different specials going on where you can get a month free. So follow Chikara Pro on Twitter and keep up with that. Also chikaratopia.com. And you can catch me at Boar is War on the Twitter machine.
That's awesome.
Low key, I have one of the best Twitter handles. I don't think I got enough love for that. But Boar is War on the Twitter.
No, and thank you. If somebody shared a tweet, you were just like, it was something along the lines of, I just want to talk wrestling with people that aren't a-holes or something. And I couldn't believe it when it was Boris War for the tweet. So I'm glad that connection and that was shared with me a few weeks ago here, and we could get this together.
Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I love talking wrestling. I'll talk any kind of wrestling with anybody, current, modern, old school stuff. I love wrestling, and to be able to talk about it in a positive light and be able to let you know what Chikara is doing is fantastic, and I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks a lot. And of course, Alex Kahrs is, you look up the Chikara in 15 podcast, as well as over at OccupyProWrestling.com. You guys supporting us with getting these shows out there as well. Thank you, Alex, all the way out there in Long Beach, California, joining us.
Thanks for having me, Sorg.
All right.
Really happy to be here.
and of course, check out everything going on over at IndyWrestling.us, including past interviews like this and so much more, as well as over at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Again, hit us up if you have anybody you think we should be talking about or to on this show over at those hookups at Good Times at WrestlingMayhemShow.com or 412-206-WS0 or at Mayhem Show on the Twitter as well.
But I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Feeding for the taste of the blood. Sick, you know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Wow, steady sipping check now.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.